Hey everybody, it's Griffin,
I'm Marlon.
and today we're back looking over the past week 2 games, everything coming in with it. You excited?
I'm very excited. Had a lot of stuff going on the field and off the field this week. So there's a lot to get into for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's start with looking at some of these games.
Mm-hmm.
You had the Cowboys-Redskins. Cowboys come out. You know, Dak Prescott, there's some question before the season. He showed up week 1. I feel like he showed up again week 2. What are you kind of looking at him?
I was looking for, especially coming off the first week, I was looking to see if he could redo that in the second week. Now it's against the Redskins, so it's not that much of a thing, but it's good to see that he's finally got a confidence to actually throw the ball deeper with this team now instead of throwing like little checkdowns to Zeke every time or little post routes off to Jason Witten or somebody like that. So I think he's showing a growth that you want to see from your young quarterback.
Yeah, and I definitely think Amari Cooper has a huge deal to help with that.
Yeah.
And then as far as the Redskins go, you know, they're starting the season 0-2.
Mm-hmm.
They played the Cowboys. They played some hard teams here. But what do you think?
There's not a lot of positives for this team at this point. I mean, you're going to look to see at what point, if there is a point during the season that they put in their rookie quarterback. Because I'm sure if they go to a worse enough record, people are going to be calling for him
I'm saying
get
like
in there.
0-4, 0-5, I'm thinking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So then another game looking into Colts-Titans. Now, with this game, you had obviously Andrew Luck retired in the offseason. Jacoby Brissett, who I thought looked great in the preseason.
Yeah.
Looks
pretty solid.
in the actual season.
Mm-hmm.
T.Y. Hilton kind of silent in that game though.
Yeah,
Didn't do too much.
Yeah, he was quieter than I thought he would be, especially with Jacoby Brissett being the quarterback. Maybe he wants to be a little bit more involved. I thought he would do a little bit more, but it's the second game of the season. He's got a long season ahead, so I think he'll do good coming up.
And obviously, you know, final score 1917 leads to a bit of a miscommunication with what the actual scoring methods of that game was.
Yeah.
2 missed extra points by Adam Vinatieri, who's one of the most solid kickers, coming off of last week, in which he cost the team a game by missing a kick.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you think? I mean, he's a legend,
right?
But do you start to worry that maybe he's too old?
I think you not start to worry, but I think you start to be cautious. I think you start to look at it a little bit closely now, so you have to closely monitor his situation to make sure he's not getting too old, so you can either get him out of there or find him the help he may need, because this might just be a simple recalibration he needs for his season, kick him back off. But I think he should be getting back on the right track, because I think it's with him being a veteran, he might just have to get back into the groove.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of things besides just the kicking portion that goes into it, holder, everything like that. So I think he'll be fine.
And also with this game, we saw the Titans last week go for an offensive explosion, kind of, against the Cleveland Browns. And the end of this week was 17 points. So do you think that says more about the Cleveland defense at that time, or do you think it says more about the Colts being able to hold them to 17?
You know, I don't really think it says much about either, because if you remember the Browns-Titans game, the score was pretty low up until it got busted open in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, the fourth quarter.
So I think, and I think at that point it was a lot of air on the Browns side. I'm interested to see what Derrick Henry, Marcus Mariota, what they can produce going forward from this week. Obviously, big game. A lot of people are looking forward to it. Seahawks versus the Steelers. Steelers go 0-2.
Yeah.
But an even bigger problem that comes out of that, Ben Roethlisberger out for the season. Gone.
He won't be here. I, first of all, initially expected this game to be close. I think I predicted close enough for like a field goal. So, I'm going to take credit for that. But then, we're going to go into, I think, them losing to the Patriots that first game. I thought they were going to come back this week and probably play a little bit better. But I think losing Big Ben kind of hindered that.
Oh, yeah.
But on the other side of losing Big Ben, Mason Rudolph came in and produced really well for a guy who doesn't have much experience in regular season football.
Completely
So
agree.
he did really well.
In the draft that he was selected,
Mm-hmm.
the 2017 draft, right? I think.
Potentially, I believe so.
I had a QB draft board.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Mahomes was number 1 on my list.
Obviously.
Mason Rudolph was number 2.
Yeah.
Above all the other quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like he actually, coming out of college, is a good quarterback.
Yeah, for sure.
Solid quarterback. And I think now he gets a chance to prove it.
Yeah.
He did have one game, I want to say a year ago, against the Cleveland Browns in which he threw 2 picks.
Mm-hmm.
So you question that a little bit, but I think it's one of those, you get the jitters out. I think this week might be a struggle, but you have Juju, you have James Conner, you have people around you. So, and they have a solid O-line as well.
So
I
he's
think he'll be
entering
good.
like a very ideal situation for a new quarterback. You got a number 1 receiver, you got a solid running back, a solid O-line, defense figuring it out, especially with the addition of Minka Fitzpatrick.
Oh, yeah.
I guess we can put that out there too. That is going to kind of bolster the defense enough. So I think what he can do is just keep the games close enough, or the defense keep the games close enough, and he could potentially elevate you to a point where you can win that game.
Something else. First round draft pick for that Minka Fitzpatrick.
Yep.
You look at a team, right now you're 0-2.
Mm-hmm.
You lose your starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Is it better to go out and try to get that help to push for this season? Or do you realize, like, we're going down?
Mm-hmm.
And do you hold on to that draft pick, hoping to get a better player?
I think that's all on what your record turns out to be and what you think of Mason Rudolph. So if they can turn out to be a team that's solid, maybe they're on the edge of missing the playoffs, then that's something to build off of, because your pick may not have been that great anyway. So it'll be cool to say, we drafted Minka Fitzpatrick with this pick.
True.
Now, if you end up being pretty bad and your pick is potentially like top 5 or top 10, and you say you drafted Minka Fitzpatrick with that pick, maybe not so much.
Yeah,
Because the draft could be pretty good this year. So I think it's all about where they fall this year.
Mm-hmm.
That'll determine whether or not it was a good deal or not.
Kind of like Amari with the Cowboys and
exactly.
Leo with the Bears.
Yeah.
Seahawks starting season 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
Looking like a solid team. Looking like they've put those pieces together. Russell Wilson looking back on shape.
Yeah.
So
I've watched his connection with DK Metcalf pretty close, and he looks to have it pretty figured out, especially after losing his number 1 receiver, Doug Baldwin. So I think that's great for him to find a guy, especially this early on, where he has great chemistry with.
Yeah,
So,
and they drafted him for a reason.
Yeah.
He's proven to be worth that pick. Bills, Giants, man. 28 Bills, 14 Giants. Eli Manning is gone.
Mm-hmm.
He's not injured. They just don't want him starting anymore.
Do you think that had anything to do with the record, or do you think it was just outside influence, Giants fans saying, hey, it's time for a change? Which one do you think that had to...
I think whenever you look at this stuff, you have to remember that the front office is always vying for the jobs.
Right.
Especially when your team is not winning games.
Especially when you're in New York, period.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you're in that media market, you're constantly under the scope.
Yeah, so I definitely think that the fan base had something to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to question, Daniel Jones did great in the preseason. Yeah. So you have someone in that back pocket.
Right.
Might as well see what he can do. Is it too early, though?
That was my initial thought. I definitely expected him to come in at some point during the season. Not after 2 games.
Yeah.
I expected maybe... Because they seem to love Eli Manning so much that it's hard to see them have moving on from him after 2 games.
Oh, yeah. I was saying maybe after the bye week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, after a bye week would have been a little bit better. Give even Daniel Jones a little bit more time to go into this starting position. But
yeah, and I think something else you have to realize is those great statistics he did in the preseason, while great, was on D2, not D1.
No.
And he's going to play the D1 guys. And look at his statistics. Eli has won the Super Bowl 2 times. He's not... Does he make mistakes? Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
He's not the worst quarterback ever,
No.
though. The thing that gets to him is that O-line.
Very bad.
And you look at Daniel Jones coming in, a rookie. If he starts getting nailed, I don't know how that season's gonna look for him.
No, because I would hate for him to come in and start getting hit as well, and maybe producing kind of in the same way as Eli, and they look at it as he's a bust. We knew it wasn't a great pick, when in all reality he's just getting hit so much that it's not even, he can't have an effective season.
Exactly.
So it's like setting up for failure, kind of.
Exactly. Patriots, Dolphins.
This game.
Is it a game?
I'm going to let you take the reins on this, but I have a question to pose first. So last week, we talked about it, obviously, going into the game. We made our predictions. I smartly predicted the Patriots would win this game by a pretty good margin.
Okay, before we go into this,
we'll leave your prediction to you.
Statistically, the Patriots
correct.
did not do that well against the Dolphins when the Dolphins were at home.
Right.
Statistically, that was the case. Not this year. Okay? I'll admit my prediction was
about 43 points.
About 43 points off. Yeah. So, the final score of the scrimmage? I don't know what you want to call it.
Scrimmage or bye week, either one.
Yeah, 43-0 Patriots over the Dolphins. And honestly, I feel like this might have huge impact on the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're looking at an AFC division in which they play the Dolphins 2 times.
Right.
So you got the Patriots playing them 2 times. You got the Jets playing them 2 times. When you play a team like that, that's pretty much a guaranteed bye week.
Yeah.
It helps push your division higher to even possibly not only just the division spot, but also a wild card spot. So I'm interested to see how that all ends up going. But 43-0, you can't. And the worst part is the Dolphins. They went, okay, we failed against Baltimore.
Right.
So that's when you, as a team, you get together, you say, let's fix the problems, we see where we're going wrong.
Step it up.
They went, Minka Fitzpatrick, goodbye.
Right.
And then their halfback comes up after this game. And the halfback's like, hey guys, that was a bad game. They're like, yeah, absolutely. You're on the training block. Wait, what? You can't just go
It's falling apart there.
and trade all your players. Now, with that being said, they have multiple first-round picks now.
For sure.
But still, they're giving away the team. It's about to be an all-rookie team next year.
Yeah.
3 first-rounders, a few second-rounders, and they're not even done training other players.
No.
I feel like that team's going to look like a graveyard by the time... It's like a Goodwill store. You're just taking used products and sending them out places. I don't think... I know this is very early to say this. I see an 0-16 season.
Yeah. I don't want to compare them to the Browns because the Browns were like pretty bad over a long span of years. But this could be what this team is heading towards. If they keep moving pieces like this, like Minka Fitzpatrick, very young, just trade him away.
Here's the thing. The Browns scored. Okay? This team isn't scoring.
Yeah.
They're not making it to the end zone. They're not even making it close to the end zone.
Because the Browns were bad, but they still had like those 1 or 2 players that were actually good. Like the years Joe Hayden was there. Good cornerback.
Joe Thomas, great line left tackle.
Josh Gordon was there for however long he was actually there.
Yeah.
But, so the Browns actually had solid players, just couldn't put it together.
Even the Lions, when they went 0-16, they still had Calvin Johnson on the roster.
But the Dolphins,
they
don't even have Minka Fitzpatrick anymore.
And I starting the season, I'd say he was their leading guy. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Jaguars, Texans, battle of the defense. Texans come out on top, 13-12. What's this win mean for the Texans?
First of all, this looks like the mid first quarter of a basketball game in terms of score, 13-12. But I think this game means a lot for the Texans, just as a way to get their momentum back. Because they lost that first week in fashion of they were close to beating the Saints the first week. Mm-hmm. So I think this kind of gives them more of a confidence boost to beat this team, especially with a good defense like this. But I think this could be a way for them to kind of move their season in a positive direction. And the Jaguars don't know where their season goes from this.
Here's the thing. And I'm afraid Minkah Fitzpatrick requesting a trade and it getting accepted set a precedent for this league that other people are starting to follow. Because Jaguars 0-2. Obviously, we all saw the fight. Jalen Ramsey not happy with his coach because there was a play in which he thought the ball was dropped and he wanted the coach to challenge it. Coach decided not to challenge it. Texans continue going down the field, end up scoring. That's pretty much the game.
Right.
Especially in that low-scoring game, you can't allow that.
You can't, yeah.
So he got very heated at the coach that the coach did not trust him when he told him to challenge it.
Right.
First off, just in that scenario, if you're the coach, your player comes to you, the player on the play, and Pro Bowler.
Right.
Not just like some rookie that you just met.
Right.
Pro Bowler, staple of the team, comes up to you and says, he did not catch that ball. Now, obviously, coach, you have people upstairs telling you maybe he did, maybe he didn't.
Right.
Do you throw the flag?
I think, like you said, first of all, the game is so close and low scoring. Almost just in that alone, you have to do it.
Yeah.
But Jalen Ramsey being your best defensive player on the team and probably your best player on the team.
Yeah, yeah.
He has to be the person, like the one person you have to listen to when he says that did not go down the way that the ref said it did. Challenge that play. Yeah. Because obviously he has an IQ and he has a better view of it, honestly, than the coach does.
Oh, yeah.
So he would know more than the coach would in that instance. So I would say challenge that play. Yeah,
so Jalen Ramsey obviously upset about that. Gets to the point, he gets back to the locker room, requests a trade. So just like Minkah Fitzpatrick, Jaguars are like, okay, let's put you on the block. And they start off, they go, hey, we want a first-round pick. That's what we're thinking about.
Yeah.
Now, this is before Minkah Fitzpatrick
is actually
dealt to the Steelers for a first-round pick. So you got two teams kind of vying for that. An AFC team that has not been disclosed yet is willing to trade a first-round pick and a player. Let's be honest with ourselves. It's most likely the Kansas City Chiefs try and get that.
Yes, that would make sense.
And then an NFC team, which we found out was the 49ers, are looking at a first-round pick and a fifth-round pick to go to them. Well, all of a sudden, Minkah Fitzpatrick is traded to the Steelers up front for a first-round pick. Jaguars come back out and say, oh, we want 2 first-round picks for Jalen Ramsey. Is Jalen Ramsey worth the 2 first? Like, think about players that have been traded for 2 first-round picks. First name that comes to mind, Khalil Mack. Exactly. Is Jalen Ramsey a Khalil Mack? No.
I would love to say we could trade him for a first-round pick, but he's not Khalil Mack. He's not going to get 2. You're not going to get 2 first-round picks for him.
Yeah.
At least I wouldn't. Maybe the Dolphins would. Who knows what they would do at this point because they're just moving assets around. But I can't imagine sitting across my phone. Breaking news. Yada team sends 2 first-round picks to the Jags for Jalen Ramsey. I can't even see that happen.
Yeah.
So at least I wouldn't do it.
And then, obviously, with the whole Jalen Ramsey thing, that's your king of the defense.
Yeah.
If you trade him, you're pretty much saying the same as the Dolphins, which is come to our house.
Yeah.
But can you allow that kind of attitude in the locker room?
No, because it kind of scares me what that would do to the locker room of that team. Because I'm sure many of their teammates love Jalen Ramsey. So if they actually go through with this trade, does it look like a Dolphins situation where it's like, I don't think I want to be here either.
Yeah.
So multiple guys going to the front office saying, hey, get me out of here too.
Yeah.
And I think that will cause even bigger of a ripple effect across the league where we see even more requesting trades and just a lot of player movement.
All right, so let's move on here real fast. We got a good division game here. Division rivals.
Vikings Packers. 21-16. Packers moved to 2-0. Vikings 1-1.
Yep.
Are you looking at anything from the Vikings or the Packers? Aaron Rodgers got this new offense.
I'm looking at one thing. I'm looking at one
Let's hear it.
major thing when I'm looking at the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You have Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs.
Right.
Arguably one of the best wide receiver duos in the National Football League.
Mm-hmm.
They passed it 10 times the first game.
Mm-hmm.
They did more passing this game, but the percentage, and I don't have the statistic on me, but I want to say it's somewhere in the 27 range. Mm-hmm. 27% of the passes Kirk Cousins are throwing are not catchable balls. Mm-hmm. And you're throwing it to two of the top receivers in the NFL. How do you not get the ball in their hands? And the thing is, the coach comes in, new coach, he says, you know what? We got some new ideas.
Yep.
We're going to feed the ball to Dalvin Cook. Great idea. Mm-hmm. Dalvin Cook rushing like a madman.
Exactly.
He's doing fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Don't stop feeding him.
Right.
But at a certain point, it's called a play action. Fake the ball, throw it to your receiver, score a touchdown. It's that simple. Mm-hmm. They're not doing that.
They're not.
And they need to start. On the flip side,
mm-hmm.
Packers come in, they play the Bears, they look like crap. They come in, they play the Vikings, and quite frankly, they look like crap to me.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Jones bailed them out of that game.
Yeah.
That will be my statement, is that Aaron Jones is the reason the Packers won that game.
So
the Packers had no reason winning that game.
Yeah.
They had no reason winning that game.
And like you said, if the Vikings actually would have used their main two guys,
that would be a different outcome.
With this, yeah.
And it should have been a different outcome.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears game should have been a different outcome.
Yeah.
The Packers are 2-0 right now by the grace of God. There is no reason that number should not be reversed and should be 0-2.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the problem is that when you get to that point, as a player, you're looking at it, you're like, hey, we're doing good. We're one of the undefeated teams.
Right.
No. Get into the gym, get onto the field, get back to practice. You need to be there because you are not putting up the numbers you are supposed to be putting up.
No. This is not the Aaron Rodgers I expected to see.
This is not the Aaron Rodgers. This is not the Devontae Adams. This is not anyone on that team that needs to be there.
This is not it. They have to win these games. I don't want to say more convincingly because that seems like I'm saying by more points. It's just the way that they're getting points, the way their opportunities look, nothing looks good for them.
No, absolutely. And there's a statistic right here that I want to point out if this is going to be able to show it to me. But if you're looking at the stats,
right.
Aaron Rodgers had good passing.
Mm-hmm.
34 attempts, 23 catches, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the game was won by Aaron Jones. 23 carries, 116 yards, and a touchdown, which is great. You have a halfback. That's amazing. But here's the problem. Of the 209 yards that Aaron Rodgers threw, 106 was caught by Devontae Adams, 34 was caught by Aaron Jones, who we just said already had a great game. Mm-hmm. The next highest player on your team for yardage is Geronimo Allison.
With 25 yards.
You need to find these targets. You need to be able to find your people and get them the ball. It's just that. It's that simple. It's not a question of what's happening. Yeah. It's a statement. And another big thing that I think annoys me is they came out fantastic. Mm-hmm. First quarter ends, they're up 21-0.
What was the score of the game again?
16-21.
Oh, and they had 21 in the first quarter.
They gave up the last 3 quarters 16 points. Mm-hmm. They grew complacent.
Yep.
Either that or the Vikings figured out how to stop them.
Yeah.
And if that's the case,
either way,
every other team's going to figure it out. Mm-hmm. I'm a Packers fan. I am. That's not my number one team, but I like the Packers. I want to see them win. This is not the way you do it.
No.
Gonna calm down here. Ask you about the next game. Chargers, Lions. Give me some details on it.
13-10. So another low-scoring game. Got Kenny Galladay having himself quite the day, actually. With
absolutely.
117 yards and a touchdown. We're scrolling here. But the Lions coming off a tie last week. I think I would be looking for more, honestly, than 13 points from Matthew Stafford. But then you look at the Chargers. I would be looking for more from Phillip Rivers, quite honestly.
Absolutely.
He's not doing... I look at Phillip Rivers every year. He's one of those tweener quarterbacks he's not the greatest in the league, but he's definitely not the worst. So he's like in that middle pack.
I say he's above average.
Yeah, he's above average.
For sure.
So you expect more from him than 10 points, especially against the Detroit Lions.
Well, now, while you're saying
which
that...
is the main thing.
While you're saying that, I think a lot has to be said on the Lions' defense.
Mm-hmm.
They held the Cardinals. They held the Chargers. I think they're definitely teams that win by the defense.
Yeah.
I think the Lions are a team that have a way better defense than they do their offense.
Oh, for sure.
However, like you mentioned, the Chargers are a team that went to the playoffs last season.
And looked pretty good.
Yeah, looked like they were going places. Yeah. They're 1-1 on the season. Mm-hmm. They won the first week. They lost to the Lions here. How do they bounce back?
I think Phillip Rivers has to come into next week, just kind of get the ball into the hands of his playmakers.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Allen.
For sure, Keenan Allen. He's one of the better receivers in the league, so you have to find a way to give him the ball.
We're back, guys. Sorry about that. There's a bit of technical difficulty. We're working through that, but we kind of went through the Chargers game, Lions game. So now we're looking at the 49ers, Bengals. We already had a little bit of a discussion on that when the game wasn't really won. but
just kind of overview of it. I mean, 49ers did great. Bengals looked terrible.
Yeah.
Again.
Well, not again. Bengals looked good the first week.
Well, yeah.
They looked solid. They just
didn't.
They got exposed this game.
Yeah, they got exposed for sure.
49ers looking good, and this is the fact that I hadn't told him yet, but George Kittle hasn't really been used either of these first 2 weeks. If you start using him on this offense too, an offense that went for 500 plus total yards, that's scary.
It has to make you think he's coming at some point.
Oh yeah, and when he comes, it's gonna. Yeah. I see the 49ers. You mentioned probably not really seeing them in the playoffs. Maybe a wild card spot.
They might.
But I can definitely.
They might scare some teams and making them think we might take your spot. It might be a close battle from them and maybe another.
I think they're one of the teams that are still eligible to make it come week 15, week 16.
Yeah. Then we got Battle of the Birds.
Battle of the Birds. Now,
Ravens, Cardinals.
Was this the game that you were hyped for? Or was it the other Battle of the Birds? It was the other Battle of the Birds. Yeah. The Eagles, Falcons. But Cardinals, Ravens didn't disappoint either.
No, not at all.
Ravens come in winning 23-17. Tight end Mark Andrews had himself a game. 100 plus receiving yards for the tight end. Second time in a row coming for that.
Yep.
Lamar Jackson came in, proved that, last week
wasn't
a fluke.
Yeah.
With that being said, first game was against Miami. Second game was against the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. Playing Kansas City this week. Well, you expect these numbers.
Mm-hmm. I want to see... First of all, we know the Chiefs are going to come out guns blazing, as they always do. So I want to see the Ravens, if in any way, can they keep up with that? Mm-hmm. Because in that first week, did pretty well offensively against the Dolphins.
Oh, yeah.
Did pretty good this week against the Cardinals. Can they score enough points to keep up with the Chiefs? Can Lamar Jackson be as productive enough to keep his team close to a team led by Patrick Mahomes? That's going to be the dynamic going into this game.
And I think it's definitely like you're looking at two totally different calibers. Mm-hmm. You're looking at Chiefs that are currently 2-0.
Yeah.
They're doing great. Mm-hmm. They're a dynamic team. And you're coming, not against the Cardinals, but against the Dolphins, a game where you threw in your second string.
Yeah.
Early in the game. So I think it's definitely going to be interesting. Cardinals, 1-1. They had the tie with the Lions earlier in the season. Larry Fitzgerald, looking good. Kyler Murray getting the ball out to him. What do you think the Cardinals need to do to step it up, make it more?
I don't know that they honestly can step it up.
Okay.
I know they can be better, so I don't want to have it sound like that. But I think anything that they can do is going to revolve around Kyler Murray getting adjusted to the NFL.
Yeah.
So I think the more and more he becomes comfortable with the new offense and the NFL like pace and just size differential, I think the team will get better. I don't know how good they'll be this year, but I think it's all in Kyler Murray. How can he acclimate himself to the NFL? And having a guy like Larry Fitz on your team, how can you use him to your advantage so that you can actually go out here and win games like this?
Yeah.
So I think that's what he'll have to prove throughout this season.
Yeah, most quarterbacks kind of have a quarterback mentor. I feel like he has a receiver mentor.
Yeah.
Larry Fitz. Chiefs, Raiders. I mean, it's the Chiefs.
Yeah.
3+ passing touchdowns in 7 straight road games for Patrick Mahomes. How? That's it's not what the league is built to do. Like, you're not supposed to be able to do that. But Patrick Mahomes, he comes in, he kills it every week. 28-10. Last week, finding Sammy Watkins all over the place.
Yep.
This week, finding Robinson. He's finding these receivers. It's not the same. You know, last season, you knew it was Tyreek. You knew it was Travis. Tyreek's injured. He comes back. Do you think it's still spread the wealth, or do you think a little bit more greedy towards Tyreek?
I think it's going to be, like you said before, give it to Tariq as much as possible, give it to Travis as much. I think as he sees, like we have guys like Sammy Watkins and Robinson there, he's going to actually trust these guys now to not only feed them more, but kind of spread the wealth to the point where maybe he's feeding them so much, it opens up Tariq Hill, which is scary because he can blow the top of your defense pretty much any possession. So I think that's going to make their their offense even more explosive.
And, you know, Robinson, Watkins, they're not slow.
No.
This is a team, you know, in Madden, when you play Madden, a statement in there is that speed kills. So you get, you know, all the players with highest speed. They are the NFL embodiment of that. They went out, they got the speed kills guys, and they got a quarterback that can air the ball out to them.
Which is perfect for a guy like Pat Mahomes, who, if a play breaks down, he can keep it going for a really long time. So if you have these guys who are super fast and well-conditioned, they'll find a way to get open once a play breaks down, and he'll get them the ball, which is the scariest part for this offense.
Absolutely, and you know, you got you can't always go deep. And when you can't go deep, you got Travis Kelce, and he's solid.
Yeah, he's going to come down with possession most of the time. Give him the ball.
So I don't think the Chiefs is stopping anytime soon.
No.
I can see the Chiefs even going Super Bowl.
Yeah, I would see that as well.
Yeah, except one team stands in their way. New England.
Yeah.
New England is still New England.
And they got better.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next game.
Now
this is my game of the week heading into the game. Coming out of this week, maybe not because of the way the game played out, but the game ended 27-9. But there's caveats to that. The game ended with Drew Brees not playing much after the first quarter.
Yeah, Drew Brees out for 6 weeks, hand injury. He hit it on Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald leaving the game as well.
Yeah.
But here's why I sigh. We mentioned it just before the game started, that this was a game that we thought would be closely monitored, closely called.
Yeah.
Because of how the Saints lost in the playoffs. You expected that.
Yeah.
You have a play coming down. The Rams are making a drive. And it's not even like a questionable fumble. It's a clear fumble. It's an obvious fumble. Saints pick it up, total green space, start running, and the referee calls the play dead. First off, you have instant replay. Let them run, look back at it, go, you know what, that actually was a forward pass. Let's take it back.
Exactly.
When you blow the play dead, that's the end of the game.
That's it.
And you're done. So that's the end of the play. You get the possession because you show that you were the team that was going to get the possession. Mm-hmm. But besides that, the play's dead.
Yep.
And, you do that very close to the end zone. Saints, at that point, needed a turnaround. Mm-hmm. They needed those points. You had 7-9. That's 18. No, wow. But that's 16. Mm-hmm. It becomes a more competitive game. Yeah. And you get the momentum back on your side. That's just a momentum killer.
Yeah, I think momentum would have been the biggest thing in that. Not even the points they would have gotten. They would have had a momentum push.
Especially with, like you mentioned, Drew Brees coming out for the game. Yeah. You needed the defense to score, and they did. Mm-hmm. And the NFL said no. And even if the Saints don't win, because I'm gonna say it, I don't think the Saints would have won.
Yeah.
Even with that play, I don't think the Saints would have won. But the NFL had one objective for this game, which was not to screw over the Saints. Mm-hmm. And they screwed over the Saints. It's just, you can't.
How do you deal with that going forward if you're the Saints?
I think you just have to, it's happened before.
Right.
I forget who the Browns were playing, but they were playing a game even more so late in the fourth. Mm-hmm. One touchdown game. The quarterback fumbles, trying to jump over the goal line. Jabril Peppers picks up the fumble, runs for the touchdown. Yep. Play was called dead, and then they reviewed it and went, "Oh, actually, it wasn't. Gave the ball to your line." Browns ended up losing. Mm-hmm. So it's not like this is the first time this has ever happened.
Right.
With that being said, though, I feel like that's just a killer, but you have to forget. Mm-hmm. Kind of like when you throw an interception, you have to just forget about it. And it sucks because it's not you doing it. It's not something that I cannot sit here and say, oh, well, they need to control this. They need to fix this. Mm-hmm. They don't.
Yeah.
It's not them. It's the referees, but you can't do anything about the referees, and you just have to allow it to happen.
Got to let it go. And next game.
Yeah, hopefully they can compete next game.
Yeah. Without Drew Brees, that's going to be...
And now I got to go back on this rampage. Mm-hmm. Next game up that we're looking at for this past week, again a defensive game, but Bears versus Broncos. What a final minute.
Yeah.
Broncos come down the field.
Yeah.
They get towards the end zone. They get a flag. They get towards the end zone again. They score a touchdown. Mm-hmm. Okay, now they're setting up for a 2-point conversion. They get the 2-point... Wait, there's a flag. They go back. Wait, there's a flag on, the Bears this time. Now they're back to the position where they do a 2-point conversion instead of kicking the extra point. Mm-hmm. Make the 2-point conversion. Kick it off. The Bears now have limited time to make it down the field.
Yeah.
And they do a play, and I don't know how to say it, anything else but this. It was bullcrap. Mm-hmm. Bradley Chubb comes around the corner and tackles the quarterback. And roughing the passer gets called. And the quarterback still had the ball in his hands. And what they said, according to multiple reports, was that the reason it was called was because he landed on the quarterback. Where do you want the guy to land? There was 3 offensive linemen around the quarterback.
Yeah.
You can't land anywhere but on top of the quarterback. And then, next thing you knew, Bears, give credit to them where credit's deserved. What a catch. Get down at the 1-yard line. Finally have a kicker. No double doink. And it gets made. They end up winning. Mm-hmm. But I feel like the game's kind of hindered on the fact that on a crucial play, the obvious wrong call was made.
Yeah.
And, this is, going on the same time with missing the Saints. And you have to look at these referees and wonder what's happening. They obviously, you look around the league, they're really tightening in on that roughing the passer. They're protecting the quarterback. That roughing the passer is getting called nonstop right now.
That's the one rule I'll say has gone too far.
And here's the thing. Roughing the passer, for the longest time, was the quarterback threw the ball. You watched the receiver catch it. The quarterback had lunch. He made a phone call, called his wife, told his wife Doris that he'd be home by noon, picked up his kids from school, got a goldfish out, and then got rammed by the defensive lineman. Right. There was a time limit between the ball being thrown and the lineman hitting him. Mm-hmm. Now the ball gets thrown, and the ball's still bailing in the air, gets hit. Okay, that's roughing the passer. Mm-hmm. Quarterback still has the ball in his hands, but you hit him on the shoulder, not even at the head, you hit him on the shoulder or like a little bit above the waist. That's roughing the passer, you hit him too high.
Mm-hmm. You hit him,
yeah.
You fall on him.
Oh, you hit him and you fall on him. That's another thing. That's roughing the passer.
Yep.
You're supposed to tackle him, and then with your entire body not on the ground, somehow Star Wars that and move off. You gotta feel the force in you and move off the quarterback, because if you land on the quarterback, that's roughing the passer.
Mm-hmm. And
you see it in the top, what I would call the top tier pass rushers, defensive ends, outside linebackers who are young, who were drafted into the league for the sole purpose of sacking the quarterback. You see it with Bradley Chubb. You see it a lot with Myles Garrett. Mm-hmm. Because the job, which we'll get to, but their job is to get to the quarterback, and they are, but they're getting penalized for minute details that go back 3 years ago, nothing would have been called.
Yeah.
So I have a problem with the referees with how they're playing that rule. At this point, put a red T-shirt on the quarterbacks and don't touch red.
Yeah, don't touch it. It's almost where it seems like we're getting to at this point. Just put a flag on them. Flag football with the quarterbacks, I guess. Maybe, I don't know.
I get it. Especially looking around the league, how many quarterbacks are injured, how many are out from the starting roster going back to preseason week 1 to currently the amount of quarterbacks that have changed to be starting quarterbacks.
Right.
Scary number. Mm-hmm. It is. But this is football, and you can't.
They're all in it to get hit. They know it. They know what comes with playing football. You can't tell me any quarterback out there doesn't expect to get hit and fall and on.
Oh yeah.
Like coming up playing football, you're taught wrap the guy up, take him down.
Yeah.
Fall on the guy when you tackle him. That's how you execute a proper tackle. But no, you can't fall on the guy. At this point, you pick the guy up and you drop to the ground yourself.
Running backs, wide receivers, do it all day.
Yeah, do what you want.
Because they don't matter. Mm-hmm. But the quarterbacks, oh my gosh. No. And don't take that wrong. I do think the running backs and receivers matters. I'm just saying that's what the NFL's kind of
that's what portraying. It seems, yeah.
So this is another one of your big games of the week. Eagles, Falcons, definitely got hindered. Mm-hmm. Definitely got hindered. Yep. You're looking at an Eagles team, Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey. All of a sudden, Deshaun Jackson's out. Mm-hmm. Alshon Jeffrey's out. Yep. And even for a little bit, your quarterback's out.
Yeah.
You had your offense just get deteriorated mid-game. Mm-hmm. Falcons take that, one of it, 24-20.
Yeah.
Even then, Eagles mount a great comeback end of the game. Mm-hmm. Look like they're going to win. And then Julio Jones with a fantastic catch and one.
Yeah, he made a play.
Really annoyed me. I was going against him in fantasy. Fantastic catch and one. Over 50 yards.
I had Deshaun Jackson.
I had Alshon Jeffrey. Look, we
were going through it.
Yeah, we were talking to each other when that happened. We're like, that was basically the end of that game for us. Mm-hmm. But not only for us, for the Eagles themselves too. Yeah. Those are your two key offensive players outside of Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
Not being in, it's going to cause some problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know what to say about the Eagles and their health issues. It almost makes you kind of consider whether or not how they feel about their decision to keep Carson and move on from Nick Foles, even though Nick Foles did get hurt.
Yeah, but Nick Foles is also injured.
It kind of makes you think, did we make the right decision by giving all this money to Carson Wentz? And he continues to get hurt. Yeah, he came back, but it's going to be something that lingers with Carson Wentz.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that was the Sunday night game.
Mm-hmm.
Going into the Monday night game, we talked about it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, first off, talking about the quarterbacks.
Right.
You have Sam Darnold, who is out. You go to your backup. You go to Trevor Siemian. And Myles Garrett hits him high.
Mm-hmm.
Hits him where you could hit him a year ago.
Hits him high, takes him low.
And that was an awful snap. But yeah, Trevor Siemian gets injured.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're to your third string quarterback, Luke Falk. Everyone's sitting there like, oh, this is bad. Luke Falk didn't really make down the field throws.
No.
He made a lot of, screen passes.
Yeah.
But statistically,
Luke
Falk looked good.
Yeah, he looked better than Trevor Siemian did. Like, he looked
Definitely
more
better.
comfortable out
He looked more like the backup quarterback than the backup quarterback did.
Yeah.
Luke Falk was in there 20 for 25,
Mm-hmm.
getting a lot of short passes, only 198 yards, but it definitely beats out the 3 for 6 for 3 yards that Trevor Siemian was going at.
He was definitely playing too cautiously out there, Trevor Siemian was.
Yeah.
He wasn't really ready to be in the spotlight, I don't think.
No.
When Luke Falk came in there, I think he prepared with seeing Sam Darnold go out, he prepared knowing he could possibly be in the lineup.
Now, give credit where credit's due.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive line. I'm not going to say the DBs.
Yeah.
There was open receivers where there shouldn't have been open receivers.
Yeah.
But the defensive line for the Browns against struggling O-line against the Jets took down the quarterback so quickly that he didn't have opportunities to find those people open.
Yeah.
Great job. Le'Veon Bell, one of the top tier running backs in the NFL, 21 carries on the game, 68 yards, averaging 3.2 yards per carry. Sounds like a lot, but for Le'Veon Bell,
if you're gonna ask your defense to do anything against Le'Veon Bell, that's about what you want to expect. Especially saying that he didn't score. That's, I think, the biggest part. Held him to no touchdowns.
Yeah,
so I think they did a really good job on the front line, keeping everything in check.
Now let's talk about the offense for the Browns.
Yeah.
Not looking like we expected come 5 weeks ago.
Right.
You have OBJ. OBJ did OBJ things
Once.
2 times.
Yeah, 2 times. Yeah, 2 times.
He got a great catch
With one
and
hand.
a quick catch for a touchdown, 89 yards, career long.
Right.
You take those 2 plays out though.
Wasn't much there.
Wasn't much there. You take
Even if you just take the quick slant for 89 yards out of there.
Oh yeah. I mean, and then look at Jarvis
great.
Landry, who's your other top tier wide receiver, 3 catches, 32 yards.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's the receivers. There were plays where the receivers were wide open.
Across the middle of the field, sidelines, everywhere.
Mayfield's not hitting them. And the reason why Mayfield's not hitting them is the same reason that I fear for Daniel Jones.
And that's the O.
The O-line is allowing these defensive linemen to come in so fast that Mayfield feels pressure to throw the ball. Last year, he looked down the field, waited for someone to get open, and he threw it.
Yep.
That's why he looked so good. This year, he's looking at the defensive line the entire time. Oh, wait, I'm supposed to throw the ball. He needs to trust in the O-line, but in order to do that, the O-line needs to improve. They improved from last week? Absolutely.
Right.
Are they where they need to be?
No.
Absolutely not.
Nowhere near where they have to be.
So, you look at that. Another thing, you have Nick Chubb. Freddie Kitchens, I don't know what, is allergic to running Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb came into the game with 18 carries, 62 yards, 1 touchdown, averaging 3.4. You know what those numbers just remind me of? Those numbers remind me of Le'Veon Bell.
Almost exact. Minus 3 carries, minus 5 yards.
Yeah.
Maybe no, 7 yards.
Plus a touchdown.
How many yards? I don't even remember how many yards Le'Veon had. But yeah.
He did what he needed to do. And those yards also were not just, oh, I had an explosive play here. Oh, I had an explosive play here. Those defensive linemen were getting to him 2-3 yards back from the line to gain. The line of scrimmage.
Right.
And he was breaking tackles 4 or 5 times to get to the line of gain. It was amazing. he just ran people over. People couldn't tackle him.
Broke tackles, carried people.
This is
into the end zone.
This is the opposite, I would say, of Minnesota's problem. Minnesota runs the ball so much, and they don't pass. Mm-hmm. Browns pass the ball so much, and they don't utilize the one.
Nick Chubb a little bit more.
Looking into this week, Browns, Rams, big Sunday night game. The defense being that defense, with especially that D line, that scary D line.
Yeah.
How's Jared Goff react? How's Todd Gurley react?
What scares me the most is on the Brown side of it. And I know you were just talking about the Rams, but it's what we were talking about with Baker is the fact that he doesn't trust his offensive line, and the offensive line is so bad. Aaron Donald's on the other side.
Yeah.
How many times is he going to get into the backfield and cause Baker to scramble out and give him those times where he can't find anybody open because he's looking sideline to sideline trying to find a way to get away from the defensive lineman breaking into his pocket. So I think it's probably going to be a rough game for the Browns. They could still find a way to win, but it's going to be a tough game to pull out.
Yeah. I think that's a must-win for both the Browns and the Rams. Yeah. And speaking of must-wins, Jets 0-2. I mean, wow. Sometimes I wish I was in the Patriots division. Mm-hmm. You're looking at a division with the Jets and Miami Dolphins. I mean, at least the Jets are going to get 2 wins this year.
At least 2.
At least 2.
Yeah. At least you hope.
I would be in shock.
Yeah, if they don't, then...
But the Jets come into it. What are you expecting there? What are you...
For next week?
For rest of the season.
Rest of the season. I mean, obviously it depends on when you can get Sam Darnold back in there. I hope as soon as possible for this team, just because you have Le'Veon Bell out there. And we saw a little bit of it in the last game. Trevor Siemian threw the ball, 6 times we saw?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of their play when he was in there was hand it off to Le'Veon Bell.
Oh, yeah.
Pass it off to Le'Veon Bell.
Right here is a playbook.
Mm-hmm.
He was with Trevor Siemian. Whatever they were playing backyard football when Luke Falk came in. Mm-hmm. They were like, okay, pass it.
Yeah.
Like, they just didn't know what they had. And I think you need to go back into this week, go back and be like, okay, Luke Falk, you're the starter.
You're the quarterback now.
Let's figure out what we can do with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously, it's against the Patriots.
Yeah.
They get a break after that. Hopefully after that, Sam Darnold's back.
Right.
You're 0-3. Let's just go ahead and put that on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is there a chance to make that playoff push?
I don't think so.
Is there a chance to go 500?
Potentially. That requires them to do pretty well as soon as Sam Darnold gets back, which I expect there to be some kind of adjusting period. So there's a chance they could get to 500. Would I bet on it? Probably not.
All right. And then let's look real fast at this week's upcoming Thursday game. Woo, it's a big barn burner, one that we're really looking... No, it's not. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars and Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
Jacksonville 0-2. Tennessee 1-1. Jacksonville doesn't have Nick Foles.
Jacksonville may or may not have...
may or may not have Jalen Ramsey. Tennessee Titans, Marcus Mariota, Henry. You know, they had that 30-point win against the Browns. Nothing against Tennessee Titans. Mm-hmm. Or nothing this week.
Right.
What do you think?
It's not going to be the most enjoyable game to watch, for sure.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be one of those games where you find something you really want to see and you kind of watch for that. But outside of like, oh, is Jalen Ramsey going to play? How is Marcus Mariota and Derrick Henry going to do? Outside of that,
I don't care about it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's going to be it for us today.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.